Finally, things have slowed down around here after the season's over, so I can get my Mathews Lift X built. Got my bow, got my custom string, got my Mathews hat, got my Mathews shirt. So y'all come hang out and let's get this bow ready to shoot. Hey everybody, thanks for hanging out with me today. So this year with the Lift X, I decided to go with the 33. And I know the 29.5, because of all the changes they made to the lift with the risers and everything, I can actually shoot the 29.5 where normally I can't because of the tangent string angle. But when it comes down to it, I just enjoy shooting the 33 more. And with the difference being I do a lot of saddle hunting, a little bit of ground blind hunting, it seems like I would really want to have the shorter bow. It really hasn't made a difference. I shot the Traverse for years out of my saddle, had no problems at all. Same old stupid hat. Come on, Mathews, you got to do better. All right, let's see what we got. My Lift X, I went with the new Kuyu Verde color. I love the Kuyu Verde. I've been doing that on my Hoyts for years. And the shale limbs. So I think that looks really cool. Pretty excited about that. I'm ready to get this sucker built, start running some arrows through it. So first step, custom string. So on my colors, I've got flow green, royal blue, and a silver pinstripe. All right, so let's get it in the press, get started. Get the old strings off. You take your old strings off, try to have a paper clip handy so you can use these again, just in case you have an accident or a friend has an accident. But you want to make sure you leave the twists in there. So I'm going to put that together pretty carefully and just make sure I got a paper clip around that. As far as changing your cables, rules have changed a little bit with this Lift X. Now that you've got that limb shift technology, you don't just pop the axle out. You have to unscrew the axle. So let me show you what that looks like. In the past, all you had to do is take out one of the screws out of the axle and then shove the axle through. Now you got to take them both off. So we're going to take off the first one. So you've got a screw, and then you've got the little cap underneath. See that? There. Then we'll take the other side out. Those are 5/64 by the way, in case you wondered. Now you're going to take a 5/32 and go in the side there. Just going to bring it all the way out. So instead of driving it through, it's going to come out the other side. See how that's coming out? So you're basically unscrewing it. And then as it loosens, just kind of come from the other side and just kind of push a little bit. That should be all it takes. All right, there you go. That's going to come out. There we are. Take that harness off. And cable off. Lay that down. And on this side, we're going to pull that cable through, untie, and make sure that I don't twist anything extra. There we go. Let's do the other side. Again, 5/64. Unscrew. And the cap. Other side. So the side that reads limb shift technology, that's the side you're going to unscrew. All right, and that just slides out. Cam comes off. Take off our harness. We'll set that aside. unloop the harness, making sure it doesn't untwist on me. There we go. And then keep that from untwisting. Not that that's a horrible thing, it's just something, if you take the twists out, now you're kind of having to start all over again and figure out where your twists go. So just put you a paper clip through that, and there's your extra string. So if you're getting some good out of our content today, go ahead and hit that like button for us. That really helps out our channel. Or maybe share it with a friend that's looking at a Lift X this year. Either way, thanks. We appreciate you watching. Thanks. All right, custom strings. There are a lot of strings out there. I'm not going to bag on a bunch of, I'm not going to tell you what the best string is. The best string I've ever used are these right here, Crocker Customs. And you may say, well, does he have a web page? Can I look at it? No. Well, can I email him and order a string? No. The boy doesn't even know how to send an email. But he can sure enough make a set of bowstring. I've used I've used every string out there. And just like Patrick will tell you, you may find one is good, you won't find one better. One of the reasons I really like them is because they're consistent. I know exactly what's going to happen when I put this string on my bow. I'm going to put it on there. I'm going to shoot it 30 times. Typically, I'm going to come back after 30 shots. I'm going to put one twist in each cable. I'm going to put 2 twists in the string, and then it's perfect. It's done. There's no messing around with the peep. There's no messing around with timing. It's done. It's not going to move 6,000, 7,000 shots, and you're still fine. And like I said, I've used them all. Those are the best I have found. If you'd like to try a set out, I'll be glad to get you some. So for a full set of strings on a Lift or a Vertex, a 5-string bow is going to be 150 bucks. And we can do any custom colors. Now, the custom color he does for me with the little pinstripe, that does cost a little bit more. But for the most part, like I said, you're not going to find, you may find a string as good, you will not find one better, and I'll stand behind that. Get our yokes back in place. Make sure it doesn't untwist on me. There we go. Okay, there's one. Another yoke. I wish I had a camera person that could walk around and film this stuff. I feel like a lot of times I'm not giving you a good angle. Well, maybe one day. Like and subscribe. Maybe we'll grow and I can pay a camera person. We get better shots. There we go. All right, let's get the yokes back on and put our axle back in. Do want to show you one thing right quick. These still, as you can see, still have a top hat. However, there's only one. The other side you're going to adjust by moving the limb. So there's still one top hat. With 6 different top hats you can put in, you got a lot more adjustability as far as fine tuning that goes. And what the heck is that? So again, you've still got one top hat. You got 6 different top hats. You can tell the difference. You can tell the difference in the top hats by where the line is. There's a single and the double line. Now I found tuning the lifts that about, gosh, I'd probably say 75% of the time. Well, I'm not going to go that far. I'm going to say probably 50% of the time I had to swap the top hats when I was tuning. With these Lift X's, I really haven't had to do hardly any top hat shifting, so we'll see how this goes on my bow. Put the cam back in. And screw that back in. My Allen wrench. So I'll adjust that a little more specific here, because you can see as it's coming through, when it begins to push the limb over. I don't know if you can see that. Well, let's see if I can show it to you. So as I begin to tighten that down, you'll see how it's moving it, and that's good enough. So we're going to back that back off. I don't want to get it all cranked over as I'm attaching, as I'm installing these strings. But I just wanted you to be able to see how that actually moves and how that spacer moves that limb across. You see that? All right, let's do the other side. All right, harness back on. Yep. Grab my axle Slide it in. Okay. And then we're just going to tighten it down. And as I begin to see that limb move, I know I'm in there far enough. And there it goes. Okay. So now we'll put the, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put one, I'm only going to put one side. I'm going to leave this side open. I'm going to leave this side open so I can tune, so I can fine tune it a little bit as I'm shooting the string in. So all I'm going to do is put the axle screw back in on one side. I tell you what, Mathews is funny. You know, I'm going to spend $1,200, $1,300, $1,400 on a bow. They use the crappiest screws you've ever seen. The mod screws, all these things will strip in a heartbeat if you're not careful. So be real careful when you're reinstalling these axle screws. All right, separate my string out from the cables. Notice again we've got he's got the paper clips in there so they don't, so the twist, that's one of the things with a string builder, that the twist rate that they use is very important. That's kind of like the secret sauce. That's kind of like Colonel Sanders' secret ingredients as far as that twist rate goes. According to Patrick anyway. They're real cagey about their twist rate and who they tell how much it is and all that kind of stuff. All right. So we're going to slide under, come back through. Again, trying to make sure I don't put any twist or take any twist out of that string. Again, if I do, not the end of the world, but it's just a pain to get everything back where it needs to be. All right. Top harness is going to come to the inside. Slide that through. Sometimes they slide through nice and easy. There we go. All right, attach it to the cam. Okay, there's one side. And then I can usually look at that little twist right there and tell if that's going to be about right or not. And it looks pretty close. And again, we're just getting it together right now. I'm not being super, super picky until I put 30 shots on these strings and get those strings to settle. Meaning not stretch. Some people say this, you need to get the strings to stretch into place. No. I don't want them to stretch, but they're going to settle. When they do that, now you're ready to get your fine tuning going. But until then, until you put, on a typical string, I tell people 100 shots. I think probably the newer strings, these new Mathews strings and some of the other strings that are a little higher quality, you can probably get them to settle in after about 50 shots. But these 30 shots, it's done. If you want to do 50, do 50. Not going to hurt my feelings at all. All right, through. All right, there we go. All right, let's get our string put on. Okay. And custom colors, you know, I hear people, oh, the deer don't care. No, they don't. But anything that's going to give you a little more pride in your equipment, something that's going to make you, I don't know, more confident, it's worth it, you know. And a custom color, you know, depending on where you go, you know, when you get some custom strings, that color doesn't cost you any extra, so you might as well, you know. And I have seen some people do some crazy colors. I do different iterations of a flow green and a royal blue and a gray. See, my Hoyt string, my new Hoyt, I've got flow green pinstripe, royal blue and silver string, and a flow green pinstripe. I think that looks pretty cool too. But stay tuned, we'll do that one next. All right, so we got our string on. Let me check my yokes, make sure everything's where it needs to be, and we are good. Let her down and let's check her out. All right. All right, let's check that out, see how it looks. Got our Kuyu Verde shale limbs and our flow green and blue with a silver pinstripe string. I think that looks pretty darn cool. Next step, let's get a rest on it. All right, so which rest do we go with? I think I'm going to go again with the Hamskea Epsilon. I've been using these on my Mathews bows for the last few years. This Epsilon is really good. I like the limb-driven thought process. I used to really steer away from it because, I don't know, it felt like that string was so long from there to my, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach it to my yoke. I don't feel as nervous with that long timing cord hanging on down. So we're going to go with the Hamskea Epsilon rest. Let's get that put on. And yes, I changed out the timing cord to a flow green. I mean, come on, what do you want? We got to match. Mounts right on the side. There we are. All right, now we'll tie it in. All right, so we're just going to tie a half hitch. My hand's probably in the way, probably can't see that, but as you can see, that's just a regular old half hitch knot that we use many that's probably the most useful knot you'll learn in archery is a half hitch, and how to tie it from different angles and from different sides and everything else. So it's a word to you guys that are trying to learn to work on your own bows. Learn a half hitch knot right away. There you go. All right, I'm gonna bring this down and loosen that. I've pulled that tight because that thing's been shot a whole bunch of times. So it's pulled down pretty tight. So we're gonna slide that down as low as I can get it, and then pick from the other side. Now, if you got a brand new rest, you probably won't need to use that pick to get those out of there, but this thing has been in there. It's had a few shots put through it. It doesn't have to be right down on that knot. I like to get it as close as I can though, but there's no need to get too crazy about, it's got to be right on the knot. No, it doesn't. I like to get it down there pretty close just to keep it out of the way. Now, you do need to time a limb-driven rest as well, but where this sits usually times out just perfectly. When it comes time to get really specific with this thing, I will do that, but I know from past builds that tying it there usually has that rest timed pretty correctly. When we end up super tuning this thing, we'll go through that on a different video. All right, we're attached. All right, now we'll need to loosen that so we can tighten that down and pull down our rest. But before you do that, go ahead and put on the D-loop and get that center shot on before you start pulling that rest down. So let's do that. All right, just to change it up a little bit, we'll go royal blue on the D-loop. One of the things with these loops, I think when you catch it on fire, I just start again. It feels like it gets crunchy and crystallized when you do that. And I'm gonna flatten it out just a little. Now that's just me. I'm not saying that's the end of, just for me. Am I telling you to, I'm telling you that's what I do. All right, so now we're gonna take that, we're gonna make a J. Just so you can kind of see, makes a J. We're gonna pull them both through, and that makes that half hitch again. I'm gonna take my pliers, I'm gonna pinch that closed. I wanna make sure that that little nail head is above the D-loop material. And I don't want, if something happens and my pliers slip and I crunch that, start all over. I don't want to crush that. That's very important. All right, so now that's going to be the top. So now we're going to lift it up and we're going to center shot. All right, got a K-Tech. I'll put my level on. Make sure our bow is level. So ultimately, I'm not sure what arrow I'm going to shoot yet. So just as a default, I want to use this Maxima Red. This is the one I've got my level on. We're going to check and see if that's how that looks. All right, see how that's not level at all. All right, so we're just going to bring the D-loop down until that becomes level. And that's much better. All right. And again, we want to be right through that burger hole. If anything shows on the burger hole, I might want a little bit of the top to show, but I want it the bottom side of the burger hole. And again, that's kind of opinion. Some people like it a little bit different, but that's where I'm going to put mine. Then I'm just going to do a tight end knock here at the bottom. All right, I want to emphasize again, this is preliminary setup. This is not the end all be all. So we're going to put a tight end knock on the bottom. I've begun, especially on the longer, the 33s, I put a tight end knock on top and bottom. But for right now, I'm just going to do bottom. All right, so we're going to come around the bottom. Just basically an overhand knot. 1, 2. Cinch it up tight. Now you can see there's just a tiny bit, well, let's back that down. There you go. A tiny bit of play. About 1 strand, 1 to 2 strands of play there. And I'm not really cinching that down because I'm not sure if that's where that loop is going to live or not. So I'm not really going crazy with the tension right here. So I got 1 over the top, 1 over the bottom. Now 2 over the top, 2 over the bottom. And do 1 more, 1 over the top. This is 3 over the top, sorry. And 3 over the bottom. Again, you may like 4, you may like 2, you may not like any. Completely up to you. I'm not the bow police. Do what you want. Does it really matter? I think it matters. If it matters to you, it matters. You know, because I ask people a lot of times, do you want a tight end knock? Oh, absolutely. Do you want a tight end knock? Absolutely not. Okay. If it matters to you, it matters. All right, whatever gives you that. Just like these colored strings. If it gives you confidence and you think it makes you shoot better, then doggone it, go ahead and do it. Don't let nobody make you feel bad about it. All right. Burn that down. There we go. All right, finish our D-loop around. And I'm going to make, again, I'm going to make this pretty tight here. All right. I'm going to chop that. Just maybe just not even 1/4 inch to give me enough to make a nail head on top. All right, this is what I'm talking about, knowing how to do a 1/2 hitch. I'm doing this backwards from what I would normally do. So I'm having to look at it upside down and backwards from normal. And flatten that out just a little bit. And don't start squishing on it yet. It's still soft. If you can't put, because you'll put your finger on it, but it's hot. Put your finger on it till it's not hot anymore. There we go. Now, we can take that out. And start mashing a little bit, tightening that down a little bit. And there we are. Cinch it down. Okay, we're ready to go. Okay, I said ready to go, but we're really not ready to go until we get this rest timed. So let's do that. All right, so now we need to go through, we need to tighten this, but before I do that, I want to check my center shot and make sure we're straight down the middle, meaning my arrow is right directly in front of the string. And that usually ends up being 13/16. So let's go ahead and 13/16, 13/17. I've kind of played with this on this Lift X a little bit, so let's get that set. All right, let's see where we're at. And 13/16. Here's a hack for you. You know what I use to measure? A dressmaker's ruler. Works great. We are right down the middle here. Excellent. Now we've got that cinched down tight. Now we're going to time the rest. Super simple. That's part of why I like this, is I don't have to press it and put that cord, put the timing cord in the down cable, which you've got that little football thing anyway. You don't have to, but I hate that thing. I don't really like this either, but it's is what we have to deal with here. And that should get us where we need to be so that we can start shooting a little bit. All right, so let's start with the Sonic 6.0. We're gonna weigh it first, see where we're at. It's gonna be a pretty light arrow. All of these are cut at about 29 inches. 377. 379. 380. Okay, so that's pretty light, but that's the Sonic 6.0. Let's see what we get out of that. $321. 319. So that's at 380 grains, and I'll be perfectly honest, that is not something I'm going to hunt with. That's not something I'm going to shoot out of that bow very much. 70 pounds set at 29.5 inches. You need to be shooting at least 400 grains just to take a little bit of beating off the bow. All right, let's go to the next arrow. All right, let's try the match grade Easton 5.0s. This is probably more likely what I'm going to hunt with. 403, close to 404. These are all match grades as well, so they should be pretty close to each other. 4042. And 4036. Okay, so those are pretty close. 312. 308. 309. Average of 310. That's probably a little closer to what I would hunt with. All right, let's try another one. All right, so these are the Easton Parallel Pros. That's what I shot this year. I know about what all them weigh as well, so let's see what we get here. 426, 426.4, 425. All right, see what we get. 301, 306. Wow, 5 feet per second difference. 300. An average of 302. All right, let's do one more. And lastly, the good old FMJ. So it's going to be a little heavier. Let's see what we're weighing up here. 500.2. These are heavier than I normally shoot. I just wanted to 500.2. I want to be able to show you the difference as far as weight goes. So this is from 380 all the way to 500. So I ought to give you a pretty good idea. All right, so let's go with the FMJs. 279. That's a little slower than I thought. 279 with 500 grain arrow, that's a lot of kinetic energy. 280. 279.9. All right, averaging 280. Very consistent there. All right, now that we've got 65, 70 shots through this and the string should have settled pretty good. Let's go ahead and shoot an arrow through it and just see what kind of tuning we need to do. I'm gonna go ahead and shoot the 5.0 because that's what I set it up with. So let's go ahead and do that and run it through some paper and see what we need to do. All right, see what we got here. That's not too bad. I mean, just for preliminary, I can live with that. Not perfect, but I can live with that. I was kind of hoping I'd get a bad left or right tear. But since I didn't, let's take that limb tuning system and let's drive it all the way to the right and see what happens. So you can see that moving. Sorry. Just like that. We'll come all the way right with it. See what we get now. All right, you can see what that did. Now that's cranking that thing all the way. You can see that's a pretty good tear. All right, let's turn it back all the way the other way and see what it looks like. Yeah, how far that tore. That's pretty significant. I mean, that really is a significant amount. A little goes a long way on this Lift X, I guarantee you. So that's all the way to the right. Crank it all the way to the left. I mean, that's almost 2 total inches of movement from one side to the other. So that should give you plenty of room to get your bow tuned however it's set up. All right, so let's talk about sights. I've been going kind of back and forth on what kind of sight I wanted to run. I've been running a 2-pin HHA Rise, and I kind of like that. I've never been a single pin fan. I've always been kind of a multi-pin guy. Just trying to decide, you know, I don't want to spend any more money. I had that 2-pin Rise, and I was just going to go with it. I get a call from a man, Ryan, at Mathews. Ryan asked me, what kind of sight you running? I told him. He said, do you like those Ultraviews? I said, yeah, I think I want to try a 3-pin slider. He said, why don't I send you one of these Ultraviews? Why not? I love it. Ultraview 3-pin, that's what we're going to run. Let's break it out. And I tell you, these Ultraviews are $6.99, and I know that seems like a lot, and it is. Ultraview could probably save a little money because their packaging, my gosh, their packaging at least is $100 of that $6.99. I mean, look at this. So you open up your little case, and there she is. Bridgelock, and then your sight. I'm gonna go with the 3-pin horizontal. And let me just tell you, where it says sharp objects, use caution, heed that warning. Those little pins right there, they'll cut you. I mean, there's a magnet in the box. There's a bracket. We're just gonna slide it right in the Bridgelock and then go with our set screw. Careful. Lift up your lock. All right, you just slide that up and then dial it and it'll slid right on. If you want to take it off, you'll see this little button down here. As you just push that in and dial it down until it comes all the way off. A quiver, we're just going to go with the Lo Pro. In the past, I've just gone with that regular web quiver, but with this new color, I wanted to upgrade to the Kuiu quiver as well. Now with the Lo Pro quiver, it's a 2-point connecting system. Show you how to put that on, it's easy. That's your top bracket. Put your bolt down in the washer, and then that's your top bracket. That goes on the top. Right here on your riser, just like that. Screw that in from the back side. And bottom bracket looks like that. Just like the other, put our bolt in our washer. It's just going to bolt right here. And there's really no wrong way to put that on. You can see the little knob, the way that sets up. Well, I say that, and as soon as I tell you there's no wrong way to put it on, somebody's going to come in here with one all jacked up. So just pay attention. It's not hard. There's our quiver. Slides down in. Open the gate. Slide through, snap it down, and it's tight, just like you want it. It's tight. There we go, stabilizer. For right now, I'm just going to go with the 10-inch black Bridgelock because that's what I had laying around, and we're just going to slide that down. I'm not going to get too crazy just yet as far as doing my V-bar, my back bar, and all that just yet. I'm not going to worry about that today. As we go through and prepare for the season, we'll do that get a little more technical with that. But right now, I'm just going to put that in, and there you go. Limb legs. There we go. There's my Lift X Lo Pro quiver. Ultraview 3-pin horizontal sight. Thank you, Ryan. Hamskea rest. Bridgelock stabilizer. And limb legs. Crocker custom string. Thanks, Patrick. I think that looks pretty sharp. Well, that's all I'm going to have time to do on it today. But hey, if you liked what we did today, do us a favor and go ahead and subscribe to our channel. Hit that notification bell so you'll know when we got our new videos coming out. And as you know, we do a lot of crossbow content here. A lot of new crossbows hitting the market, so I'll be doing some reviews on all those coming up. So comment below if you have any questions. If you see something we could do a little better. If there's something you'd like to see us do, especially when it comes to this Lift X. What kind of issues are you seeing so far? Are you enjoying that limb tuning system? Are you using it at all? And hey, thank y'all for hanging out with me today. Hopefully we'll see you again soon. And even though deer season's pretty much over most places, we can still get outside and get wild. Y'all take care. Thanks, and God bless.